one of the great television events last year was John Adams, that was done by HBO. The production of John Adams was more than I paid for an entire year for all of the programming that I produced on PBS. So it's the kind of program that I could not afford to produce, but that a commercial outlet could. Having said that, you spend a lot of time watching television, you know that John Adams is not the norm for what commercial broadcasting does. And that's where public television comes in. I think that there are a lot of kinds of programs that are not profitable, and not that I want to define PBS by market failure, but I think you can look across the broadcast spectrum and see a lot of programs that you don't see anywhere else than public television. There are some program strands that we used to do a lot of. We don't do as much because others have done it. HGTV is a great example. We don't do as much cooking shows. We don't produce as many cooking shows as we used to once because there are other people that do that and I think do it pretty well. But there is no one doing arts programming right now, unless you consider American Idol and Dancing with the Stars, which is arts programming of a type, but it's not, doesn't represent the full range of the arts. There really isn't a lot of children's programming that's educational. There's a lot of children's programming, but programming that's really curriculum-based is the work that we do. News and public affairs, interestingly enough, even with 24-hour news services, I think that there is not necessarily the depth and analysis that we try to bring forward. At the end of the day, we're not trying to sell eyeballs. And at the end of the day, that's what commercial broadcasters are. And I think that it's a business. And so there is a line that I use a lot is that, you know, our shareholders aren't on Wall Street, they're on Main Street. And so if you start out your work with the premise that we are trying to serve the American public rather than profit from the American public, it takes you down a very different path in terms of the kind of programs that you produce. So I think that there is an important role for both commercial and non-commercial television, and one doesn't necessarily replace the other.